What if Palpatine was defeated before Anakin arrived in Revenge of the Sith? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin Skywalker bursts into the office of the Supreme Chancellor, his heart pounding, his mind racing as he senses a disturbance in the Force. He knows it is risky and tries his best to stay put, but this is too important. His eyes widen as Palpatine tries desperately to keep Mace away with a burst of Force lightning as he lays against the shattered window. But the Jedi Master blocks these attacks and then drives his lightsaber down Palpatine's throat. He gasps and then drops to the ground. Mace Windu stands over him, breathing heavily, lightsaber still ignited.
You killed him. We needed him alive to face a trial. Palpatine was a Sith Lord, Anakin. He manipulated all of us. He would have manipulated the Senate. This was the only way.
Anakin can hardly believe what he's hearing. This wasn't the plan. He had hoped that he would capture Palpatine and let him face trial. While in prison, Anakin would visit him and receive the information in exchange for his freedom. Snarling, he ignites his lightsaber and lunges at Mace. The Jedi Master's eyes widen as he sees this and raises his lightsaber to block this attack.
Skywalker, what's gotten into you?
Anakin doesn't respond as he advances, whirling his lightsaber at him. It comes down on him as heavy blows, each one sending Mace staggering back. But the Jedi absorbs all of these strikes, channeling his anger to throw it back in a vicious counterattack. Although Anakin was initially trying to kill Mace, he now finds himself on the defensive. Mace narrows his eyes as he can see the darkness brewing within the young man's body. This fuels him to keep on fighting. He strikes low and forces Anakin to jump onto Palpatine's desk. He kicks over its contents towards Mace and follows with a slash. It grazes his shoulder, leaving Mace stumbling. Seeing him struggling to wield his lightsaber, Anakin takes the opportunity to strike. Letting his anger take over, Anakin throws himself at Mace. His strikes become wilder and more unpredictable, but almost more difficult to counter with his injury. The Force throws Mace back as Anakin bears down on him, stepping closer until they are face to face, and then he drives his lightsaber into his stomach. Mace's eyes widen, and he drops to the ground. For a moment, Anakin is triumphant. But as he looks at the broken body of his colleague, his pride turns into horror as he realizes what he's done. His lightsaber drops from his hands as he stares at the corpse. As the weight of what he's done begins to settle over him, the door bursts open. Senate guards rush in, their blasters aimed at Anakin. He raises his hands, but his mind is spinning. He doesn't resist as they seize him and take him away. Word spreads quickly. Palpatine is dead, and Anakin Skywalker, the hero of the Republic, has killed Mace Windu in what some are calling an act of treason. But questions come flooding in, leaving the Senate in chaos, with no clear leadership and no explanation of what happened. In his cell, Anakin is visited by Wilf Tarkin.
Skywalker, you found yourself in quite a predicament, but all is not lost. The truth has prevailed. My investigation has found that Mace Windu and other masters were attempting to stage a coup.
What? How can you be certain?
Who will question that claim? Is there any other Jedi who knew Master Windu's suspicions?
No. But why are you helping me?
I'm not helping you. I'm serving the Republic. Palpatine believed in you. He saw your potential, your power. I can ensure you your freedom on one condition. We need confirmation, and your name has weight. Testify before the Senate that the Jedi were plotting a coup against the Republic.
And why would I help you?
Because I know what you want, Skywalker. Do you think you were the only one who knew about the Chancellor's abilities? Well, I have little faith in this religion. I understand its importance to you. Help me, and I shall give you access to Palpatine's private quarters, his research, his holocrons, everything the late Chancellor kept hidden.
Very well.
In the Senate chambers, his testimony sends shockwaves through the galaxy. He speaks carefully, framing his story so that it implicates Mace and the Jedi Masters involved without condemning the entire order. Some senators demand the Jedi be outlawed, while others argue for restraint. However, Anakin is quick to remind them that he is a Jedi and provides a grim warning. The last time they tried to jump the gun in a Jedi investigation, it nearly got his Padawan imprisoned. The show of strength intimidates most senators into silence. However, without the knowledge of Order 66, they cannot simply wipe out the Jedi Order. Instead, investigations are launched, Jedi are detained, and a crackdown is enacted. Not every Jedi is arrested, and some are cleared of all charges, and many more flee into hiding rather than risk the Republic's wrath. These are branded outlaws and ordered to be captured on sight. Anakin is cleared of all charges, but the guilt follows him like a shadow. He struggles to reconcile his actions, telling himself he did what he had to protect the Republic and Padme. His nights are restless, plagued by visions of her dying in childbirth, and he wastes no time in going through Palpatine's records, poring over his research to find out how to save his wife. What he does find is not quite what Palpatine promised, the ability to perform an essence transfer, moving her being to somewhere else. It reeks of desperation, but Anakin is prepared to take it as the day draws nearer. When at last Padme gives birth, Anakin waits in anticipation, and then nothing happens. The birth is long and grueling, with Padme exhausted, but she's never at risk of dying. The full realization hits Anakin like a lightsaber swing. Everything he did, the lies he told, and the betrayals he committed were all for nothing. But while that is happening, the Senate flounders with leadership. Amid growing calls for stability, a surprising proposal emerges from the war faction. Anakin Skywalker, war hero and symbol of the Republic, is nominated as Chancellor. Anakin initially refuses, but Padme urges him to accept, unaware of everything that just happened.
You've always wanted to help people, Anakin. Maybe this is your chance. It can prove that not all Jedi are bad.
It isn't just Padme who encourages him. Tarkin also stands beside him, whispering into his ear, and saying it is his destiny to do this. He understands the guilt Anakin faces and twists it in his favor. He says that serving as Chancellor can right the wrongs of his deeds. He can fix the mistakes of the Jedi, and that may put Mace's spirit at ease. Reluctantly, he agrees, though Tarkin's words do little to assuage his guilt. As Chancellor, Anakin's main focus is the war. With the CIS on its last legs, he pressures them and drives them back to their last holdings. However, there is little sign of the Council, who have gone into hiding. So instead, Anakin continues the Outer Rim sieges and vows to destroy what's left of the CIS military if necessary. The various clone commanders take command of the front as Anakin gathers what remains of the Jedi Order, including those captured, and offers them amnesty if they serve his new government. For the most part, the Jedi agree, as many are eager to clear their name and prove these accusations against them are false. However, some of the old masters are less certain. They refuse to believe that men like Mace Windu and Kit Fisto truly plotted a coup against the Republic. These Jedi soon slip into exile the first chance they get. While Tarkin wishes to have them hunted down, Anakin is content to let them go. He can't bring himself to kill more of his comrades. Instead, he continues the war with the CIS, publicly proclaiming that he will only accept their unconditional surrender, giving harsh terms that will strip away the corporations of their autonomy and resources. But as that happens, Anakin is reunited with one friend, Ahsoka, who manages to return to Coruscant after her mission on Mandalore. With her is Darth Maul, who she managed to capture during the battle. Anakin calls for her to report to him once she arrives. He sits in the Chancellor's office, looking over the datapad as he studies the newest reports of Jedi fugitives, CIS movements, and other issues. The doors hiss open, breaking his thoughts. He looks up to see Ahsoka Tano standing in the doorway, smiling as she regards her former teacher.
Ahsoka.
Well, Mandalore was complicated. But I'm here, and so is Maul. Captured as promised. Though it seems like you've moved up too, Chancellor.
I taught you well. It's good to have you back. I'm proud of you, Snips.
Thank you, Anakin, for your trust, and having my back in this.
I never doubted you for a second. The Jedi Council didn't see it, but I always knew what you were capable of. And now, we can finally fix their mistakes. We're in charge now, Ahsoka. We can rebuild the galaxy, make it better than it ever was.
We?
Yes. The Council is gone. The old rules, the politics, they're finished. This is a chance for something new. You and I, we understand what the galaxy needs. We can shape it together. I might be Chancellor, but I still need help.
For a moment, Ahsoka studies him, her blue eyes searching his face. She sees the fire in him, the determination, but also something deeper. A desperation.
I don't think I can do that, Anakin.
What? Why? Ahsoka, we've always worked together. We've always been stronger together.
I know, and I'll always be grateful for everything you taught me. But this isn't my path. The Jedi failed because they couldn't understand the people. And I'm just starting to learn what the people are going through. I can't give that up just yet to serve in the Republic. There's more to the galaxy than we ever realized, and I need to see it myself.
Ahsoka,
I'm not leaving forever. I'll help however I can, but I can't do that from the Jedi Temple or Coruscant. I just need to find my way. The galaxy is still hurting, and I can help in ways I couldn't before.
Anakin stares at her, his emotions swirling. He wants to argue, to beg her to stay, but deep down, he knows she's already made up her mind. He forces himself to nod, though the gesture feels hollow.
All right. I won't stop you.
The two exchange one final goodbye, thanking each other for everything before Ahsoka turns and walks away. Anakin watches her leave, listening to her footsteps until they disappear down the hall. Once she's gone, Anakin sinks back into his chair, staring at the datapad in his hands, though his mind wanders off. Ahsoka's words linger, stirring something deep within him, a mix of doubt, guilt, and longing. But while Ahsoka disappears, many of the Jedi begin reappearing, as clone commanders report their former Jedi generals have now allied with the Separatists. Desperate to escape persecution, they took over the droid armies and offered them amnesty. Those hardliners who suspected that Anakin was not telling the truth now fight for the CIS, hoping to expose his lies. These new CIS leaders have been spotted on key worlds, Salukami, Sereno, and even Ryloth, starting to push back on Republic forces. Across the galaxy, Jedi fight Jedi, as those loyal to Anakin fight against the rebels. Some security officers like Tarkin suggest drastic actions to bring them back in line. They suggest taking the Jedi still loyal to them as hostages, or even imprisoning them while they place those worlds under martial law. Tarkin even goes as far as to suggest drastic changes like enacting new chain codes to restrict travel, spending more on expensive military projects, and even conscripting the population. He argues that hesitation might embolden the Jedi and allow the CIS to gain strength, but Anakin hesitates. He recalls Ahsoka's words of how the Jedi don't understand the galaxy and question whether these will truly help people. He thinks back on Mace and the betrayals he committed to get there, and can feel the pull of the dark side. Anakin hesitates, trying to placate Tarkin while looking for a new way. He reminds him that the Republic must serve the people first and foremost, and many are not satisfied with the war. Although angry at this refusal, Tarkin does not question him. But as Anakin sleeps, he feels the dark side calling to him. This time, it is more tangible, like a physical being calling to him. One not far away. Darth Maul. He glimpses his demonic face in his dreams, his smooth voice taunting him, and whispering that he knows everything Anakin did. Later that night, Anakin jumps up from bed, rubbing his eyes as he calls for a speeder. He finds the former Sith Lord in his prison cell, sitting cross-legged as a malicious smile creeps across his face.
Ah, the great hero of the Republic. Or should I say, the architect of its ashes. I didn't come here to banter, Maul. You reached out to me. If you have nothing to offer, then I'm going back to sleep. I didn't summon you here. You came because you're drowning. The galaxy slips further out of your grasp with every passing moment, doesn't it? But it isn't the galaxy that terrifies you. It's the betrayal, the anger, the loss. It's eating you alive. I'm not here to listen to your ramblings. I have felt the same thing, the same burden. There are ways to be rid of it, to make use of it, and to finally make yourself useful once again. The answers you seek do not come from politicians. They come from the dark side. I'm not like you. Oh, you are. You killed your precious Mace Windu, didn't you? You felt the rush of fury, the clarity it brings. You just don't know how to wield it yet. But I can teach you. Because deep down, you know the Jedi's ways are broken. You know their teachings failed you. So cling to these teachings, or unleash your anger and your frustration, and be reborn.
Anakin's prison visits become more common as Darth Maul stands before him, sharing his experience with Palpatine and making him imitate the training exercises Palpatine made him do. Due to his captivities, these are rather limited, as Maul has him instead focus on channeling the dark energy, searching within himself to harness his anger and doubt. Rather than hold them in, he shows him how to release them. While the Chancellor works, Maul is there, giving encouragement, reminding him of his failures and shortcomings, and letting the rage rush through the young Jedi as he unleashes it. These sessions are short to prevent suspicion from the prison staff, and at other times Anakin gives Maul a holodisk to talk with him privately while in his quarters. Maul teaches that restraint is a weakness, and true power comes from unleashing everything into the Force, because that is how you truly become one with it. The Force is pure energy, and he must unleash it all. For the first few weeks, it goes well, but it allows Tarkin to regain his momentum, and he now urges the Senate to take stronger actions against the fugitive Jedi. He frames it as a necessity for galactic security, a way to end the war once and for all. The senators, wary of conflict and eager for resolution, agree. He takes it further and demands that Chancellor Skywalker lead the effort personally. Anakin reluctantly takes command, heading to the hotly contested region near Ryloth, which is on the verge of falling back into CIS hands. However, this time they are joined by several Jedi fugitives who assault the capital while Anakin tries to defend. Artillery fire rains down on the battered city as Anakin orders his troops to their hastily erected barricades. They return fire as the rebel forces advance, droids moving without worry of being cut down, while Jedi dart between them to get in close. Anakin is at the head of his own troops, cutting down advancing droids and throwing them into the abyss below. Here he is free to unleash his anger and frustration. Without having to deal with living opponents, Anakin feels no guilt. He slashes through the droids, and it seems like he's ready to drive back the CIS forces. The battlefield is a wasteland of shattered metal and scorched earth. Smoke rises from burning wreckage, but as he cuts down another wave of droids, a figure emerges on the bridge. Obi-Wan. He can sense the darkness within Anakin and shakes his head.
Anakin, what have you done? What I had to do. The war is ending. At what cost? The Jedi hunted, and the Republic turned into something it was never meant to be. And you've changed. You don't understand. There is no other way. There is no going back. There is always choice, Anakin.
He suddenly springs forward and slashes his lightsaber at him. Anakin blocks this attack, feeling a surge of anger as he throws the older Jedi back and rushes at him, lighting up the energy bridge beneath them. Anakin leaps over another attack and tries to force push Obi-Wan back. The Jedi stumbles and barely stops himself from falling. He notices Anakin coming at him and raises the fallen droids to use as a shield. He begins to cut them down, pushing through the gap, and then advances. Obi-Wan begins to shift and hurls them towards him, but the young Chancellor slides underneath them. Anakin snarls as these strikes don't slow him down and feels the anger starting to wash over him. His attacks grow faster and more aggressive. Obi-Wan now shifts to the defensive, blocking these swings, though it does not push him back. Obi-Wan glances over, seeing the rage in his apprentice. He counters and tries to counter his lightsaber thrust, but Anakin pushes it back and smashes his fist against him. The Jedi Master stumbles back. He follows with a slash against his neck, but Obi-Wan leans back and lets it pass over his head. Once it's passed, he leaps up and unleashes an overhead swing. Anakin parries the attack, sending a shock wave of the Force when their lightsabers clash. Their gazes lock and Obi-Wan can see the blinding fury in Anakin. Beyond that, he senses something else. Fear and doubt.
You're in pain. I can see it. I can feel it. Whatever you've done, whatever you've become, it's not too late. Let me help you, Anakin. Please.
Anakin's breathing quickens, his hands trembling. The conflict within him rises to the surface. Maul's teachings, Tarkin's demands, his love for Padme, and his guilt over the Jedi. Tears sting his eyes as he meets Obi-Wan's gaze.
I don't know how I've gone so far. What is it? Mace. He didn't stage a coup. He tried to stop the Chancellor. But I killed him.
The battlefield goes silent as the weight of Anakin's words sinks in. Many stare at him, unable to believe what they just heard. Some clones lower their weapons, and the Jedi stare out in shock, but Obi-Wan places a hand on his shoulder.
Then it's time to face the consequences of your actions, and make it right.
Anakin lowers his lightsaber and nods. He orders that the troops lay down their weapons as the two begin returning home. However, the journey back to Coruscant is not quite as peaceful as he thought, as while traveling, Anakin gets another vision of Maul. This time, the former Sith is far less pleasant and warns that there will be consequences for turning his back on him. By the time they return to prison, they find it in chaos as they learn that Maul organized an escape attempt and managed to slip by while many of the prisoners were recaptured. However, the Coruscant Guard believes that Maul has escaped to the lower districts. The lower districts of Coruscant are a labyrinth of alleys and dimly lit neon signs. The streets are crowded with desperate figures, smugglers, gangsters, and those trying to survive in the underbelly of the galaxy's capital. Anakin and Obi-Wan move cautiously through the maze of crumbling buildings and narrow pathways, their senses attuned to the faint traces of Maul's presence in the Force. Unfortunately, it is like looking for a needle in a haystack. They believe Maul is likely trying to get off-world to escape to the Outer Rim. Suddenly, a comlink crackles to life. A familiar voice breaks through the static.
Sky Guy? Is that you?
Ahsoka?
Maul's close. I've been tracking him since I got here. He's heading toward the old power plant. I'll try to slow him down, but you'd better hurry.
We'd better move.
By the time they reach the power plant, the clash of lightsabers and the sound of combat echo through the cavernous space. Ahsoka Tano faces off against Maul, her lightsabers flashing and darting against Maul, who rushes at her, hacking and slashing at her to try and keep her back. The former Sith Lord is relentless, his movements fueled by hatred, eager to avenge his previous defeat. Ahsoka leaps off the walls as Maul slashes at her. Anakin and Obi-Wan rush forward, their sabers igniting with a familiar hum. He throws Ahsoka off balance and then rushes to meet the pair. He rains down attacks on him, trying to force them back. Obi-Wan moves defensively, trying to halt the attacks, while Anakin moves through the attacks, rushing to face him. He meets this aggression with aggression, their lightsabers flashing in the dark room. Maul presses against him, starting to glare down at him, and tries to kick him back. But Anakin leaps over the attack and checks a second swing just as Obi-Wan closes in from the side. Maul breaks off his attack and turns to Obi-Wan, swinging at him, but the Jedi Master slides past him. Ahsoka leaps back in the fight, crossing her lightsabers and slashing them outward, which forces Maul to divide his attention. But Maul is no ordinary foe. His cunning and ferocity make him a formidable opponent. However, for all his agility, he cannot face three foes against him. His lightsaber continues to check all these attacks as they close in on him. Sensing his advantage slipping away, Maul lashes out with a wave of force energy, throwing the trio back. He snarls, his yellow eyes burning with defiance.
You think you've won? The galaxy will never be yours to save. It's already too far gone.
Anakin steps forward, his face dark with anger as he rushes at him. Maul throws all his dark energy into his attack, but so does Anakin. This energy explodes all around them, sending the glass in the factory shattering and the walls cracking.
You feel it, don't you, Skywalker? The darkness, it's already inside you.
But Anakin doesn't say anything. Instead, he takes a deep breath and begins to push, twisting his lightsaber and driving Maul back. He then rams his shoulder against Maul and throws him back. As Maul stumbles, Anakin sweeps his lightsaber low and slices off his legs. He raises it above Maul and prepares to finish him off.
Anakin, don't. This isn't you.
Anakin, it isn't too late to change things. Don't let him turn you into the very thing you pledged to fight against.
Anakin hesitates, his lightsaber still poised to strike. His chest heaves as the conflicting voices in his mind battle for control. He looks down at Maul, who sneers at him, unafraid, daring him to strike. Finally, Anakin exhales and punches Maul across the face, knocking him out.
All right. He at least deserved that.
Tarkin and the Senate are initially in uproar at Anakin's unexpected return and halting his offensive. But these are soon quieted by Anakin's announcements that he will retire from politics, but not before pardoning the fugitive Jedi. In a fiery speech, Anakin explains everything that happened, the real story of Palpatine, his cover-up, and how Tarkin and the war faction got involved. He decides if he's leaving, he will set things right, and this throws the Senate in a scandal. Thankfully, with the war faction in chaos, those who favor peace can claim power, with Padme becoming Chancellor. She starts by offering terms to the CIS. With the Jedi being welcomed back in the Republic, they lose their best soldiers, and they are forced to come to terms. Meanwhile, Anakin chooses to voluntarily leave the Jedi Order, and is soon detained for trying to cover up the coup. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.